As we wait for action to resume, the National Collation Center back in the studio. Very shortly, our political correspondent, Seun Okinbaloye, will be joining us right here in the studio to help us make sense or to discuss some of the results that have coming, results coming in that have coming from 11 states, including the Federal Capital Territory, Abuja. We'll be looking at those as well as some of the patterns that we have seen from these results. We're also going to be discussing the collations that we are yet to receive from the other states. That's going to be happening in just a moment.
Absolutely. Remember, we have one outstanding state yet to be announced. The contingent from that state, namely Ebonyi, requested for time to tidy up their figures, and then we'll be going back to the Collation Center for that particular result, and then the Independent National Electoral Commission's chairman will decide the fate of today's collation as it is. Well, earlier before we went on this break, we were saying that, look, it is only INEC.
Yeah.
That is the authorized body where results from this exercise should be considered authentic.
Yeah, Lagos State is one of the states that usually will come in late. We can understand because of the numbers that they have to deal with. I mean, we had over 5 million people collect their PVCs to vote in Lagos. Whether the number of people who eventually voted in Lagos State clocked up to half or more, we'll find out in just a moment.
It will be interesting.
Yes, but we have Seun Okinbaloye with us in the studio. Seun, are you ready for us?
Absolutely. So I'm just trying to update some of what we have here, and if you look at some of the situation we have, so definitely we can see now that the green states, that of the PDP, and the red states, the one that are being won by the APC, as announced by INEC, of course, the chief returning officer, which is the national chairman, or the chairman of Independent National Electoral Commission, Professor Mahmoud Yakubu. So we then have altogether 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. So we have over 25 or so more states to go in the announcement of the results. So if you look at it critically, one thing comes out, basically, some of the states are predominantly traditional states of the People's Democratic Party. If you look at Abia State, Enugu, there are some traditional PDP states that are emerging. We understand that Ebonyi is going to be announced shortly, and I understand also the Plateau states will also be announced. Where will these states go? The PDP, the APC, YPP, AAC, or where exactly? We will find out in a moment. But one thing that is very significant is that some of the largest, well, you would say the traditional strongholds of the PDP are not announced just yet. South-South. Most of the South-South states are traditionally PDP state. Talk about Delta, Bayelsa, Rivers. Those are traditionally PDP states. Some of them have not been announced. And if you look at it, none of the northwestern states have been announced just yet. That is where you will find as a stronghold of the incumbent president and the candidate of the APC. Katsina State is his home state. That has not been announced just yet. We've just had 2 states from the northeastern region that have been announced. 7 states in the northwest, 6 states in the northeastern region of the country. Where will all of these be? Are we going to have a sprinkle of green over here and a sprinkle of red over here? Don't forget, in 2015, what we saw was a sharp divide between the northern and the southern region of the country in terms of how some of these states won the different areas. So we have APC, for example, have a 22 states, controlling 22 states of the Federation. Are they going to be able to retain those states when the announcement comes up? What will happen to some of the inroads the APC is planning to have into the southern region of the country? If you look at some of the margin, the two major political parties are really giving themselves a tough time. Look at it right there. If you look at, for example, Abia State, the PDP did show to the APC that this is our home and we're going to fight you real hard. If you look at the figure from Abia State, it did tell you that 219,000. Those are the figures for the PDP, and APC had 85,000. That's well over 100,000 margin for the two political parties there. One thing that is also significant, Abia State, for example, you have a total number of registered voters of 1.79 million. Guess what? The number of accredited voters were just 361,000, a poor number of voter turnout in that sense. And at the end of the day, valid votes came to 323,000. About 20,000 votes are gone, invalid votes, right there. If I take you through some of these figures, may give you an understanding of how keen some of these votes are. If we found key contests in some areas, but in other areas, there were wide margins. Let's take a look at Yobe State, for example. The APC did tell the PDP a very strong message. And take a look at this. The APC defeated the PDP in that state, Yobe State, in the northeastern region of the country, with about 440,000 votes. That is enormous, Kayode, Charles, and Ayo. That is how strong the APC says they are. They are holding sway right there in that state, and they have shown in that number. But again, one thing that may be making APC happy in this hour, but not making Nigerians happy, is in the sense of the turnout of voters. 1.3 million registered voters in Yobe State. Only 600,000 people came out to vote. That's about 700,000 people that did not turn up to vote in that regard. So that is indeed not convincing.
So if you look at it in terms of the conversion of those who had their PVCs and those who eventually went out to vote, you see that Yobe State is not the only state where we had poor turnout of voters. What do you think is responsible for this?
I would say, without going into any research or any major findings or looking into the crystal ball, I would tell you that, look, Kayode, the fact that the elections were postponed by a week could determine a whole lot. There are a lot of people who came to this country who are Nigerians living outside of the country who came home to vote. They probably would not be able to have 1 week off work, but they got some days off work. They came, but unfortunately, they couldn't vote. They had to return to wherever they may be. A lot of people who perhaps are walking down south traveled down up north to vote, but unfortunately they found out few hours to the election that they couldn't vote. So these are some of the issues that could be responsible. Don't forget, in 2015 we just had less than 50% of voter turnout. That may be a trend that we need to really look into. Perhaps there's so much more work to be done in terms of where you accredit or where you domicile, whether or not you can vote where you live. Because a lot of people registered where they work, but on the day of voting, they cannot go there to vote. They had to stay at home and they couldn't vote because they are not able to go back to their workplace to vote. This is some of the issues which need to be looked into if we are going to fight the issue of voter apathy.